The Misadventures of Elwood J. McFly, written by Raven Bradberry and Emily Janssen. Swatter time. It was breakfast time, and Elwood had a craving for something other than rotten meat and vegetables. His sweet tooth needed satisfying. Antenna on high alert, Elwood flew through Greenville, targeting park benches and alleyways for the perfect sugary treat. "Chocolate cake ahead," he hollered. Elwood's sharp sense of smell led him to Blackthorn Drive. There are only 4 houses on the street, with one in particular that gets the most attention. I am referring to the 2-story pink structure with faded white shutters at the end of Blackthorn. When the moon is bright, you may see a dark shadow looking out from inside one of the windows. Elwood was not scared, although his mom often warned him to stay clear. The scent was still far off. Elwood passed one house, then another, and another. His antennae were going crazy. What Elwood craved today was inside that pink house. Do you think he listened to Mom? Would you? Well, here goes nothing, he muttered, lifting his wings. Elwood flew into the kitchen's open window. He felt safe. The house seemed harmless. Ignoring what others told him, Elwood found what he came for and prepared to dive in. The fly was the only one in the room. That freshly baked cake was all his. He breathed in the rich, chocolatey goodness. The smell reminded him of Elwood of his last birthday. It would be wrong not to sneak a taste, he thought. Elwood slid across the creamy frosting, licking his feet. Yum! Everything on the countertop began to shake, forcing Elwood out of his sugar daze. He felt a tremor rise through his tiny body as his legs sank deeper into the velvety dessert. "What is happening?" Elwood asked, frightened. The shaking suddenly stopped. He paused for a moment before returning to the cake. Screams were now coming from the basement. Shouldn't this have been a warning to get out? A shadow appeared on the wall. It seemed to be moving. Elwood's eyes widened as the mysterious figure came rushing towards him. "Are you here to hurt me?" he panicked. A black cloud swallowed him. Elwood never felt so small and helpless. His stomach was queasy. He was going to be sick. The shadow was Miss Peterson. She is the one you see when the moon is bright. Her weapon kills insects instantly, but it is her laugh that is most cruel. She seems to enjoy what she does to bugs. Elwood watched as Miss Peterson's heavy foot caused a spoon to clang inside her rattling cup of English tea. He heard a shriek, followed by a loud bang. Elwood turned to see the kitchen's window slam shut, nearly shattering the glass. The fly was trapped. I must tell you more about Miss Peterson. She is known to crush bugs between her grimy toes and make roach spider stew. She despises things that fly and crawl. She is heartless, and the reason we avoid Blackthorn Drive. And now, Miss Peterson was holding the most effective bug killer she owned. The largest fly swatter Elwood has ever seen. He struggled to lift himself off the chocolate cake, desperate to find a place to hide. Elwood's brain was working overtime. Think, Elwood, think. He flew to the ceiling and perched above Miss Peterson's head. Just when Elwood thought he was out of danger, her dreadful eyes looked up. Young McFly shivered. His only means of survival was to avoid that swatter and keep changing his flying pattern. Elwood shot straight up. He swooped down, then shifted sideways. This big bad bug tried everything to stop Miss Peterson, but she refused to give up. The next time she missed. Elwood slowly descended to the top of her nose. "How dare you?" Miss Peterson said, infuriated. Elwood danced on her nose in reply. "You annoy everything on this planet. I can't stand things that don't belong here. You will be sorry you ever flew through my window." She held the swatter above the bridge of her nose, waiting to attack. "Ouch!" Miss Peterson screamed. The heartless woman smacked herself right on the face, leaving a bright red mark. Elwood laughed hysterically, flying farther from her reach. Angry and even more humiliated, she kicked the wall, leaving a hole in its place. Her house could have been mistaken for the neighborhood dogs. Miss Peterson now shared the same red mark on her big toe as her nose. In pain and unable to move, she vowed to be ready next time. Miss Peterson will buy the biggest swatter there is. Elwood knew he won. He celebrated with another bite of cake. It tasted even better this time. Peering out of the window, he noticed the sun was low in the sky. "Uh-oh," Elwood mumbled. "I better get home before Mom knows I wasn't in my room." Elwood flew through Mrs. Peterson's living room to plan his escape. He discovered the front door was open with only a screen blocking him. Searching for an exit, he observed a tiny hole at the bottom of the mesh. Was it big enough? Elwood didn't have time to think this time. At full speed, he aimed for the opening. He squirmed and thrashed about, trying to squeeze his fly butt through. It was no use. Elwood was stuck. Do you hear that?" I do not either. It is way too quiet in the house right now, and Miss Peterson was not groaning any more. That was when Elwood saw her. With more strength than before, gripping that same beastly swatter, Miss Peterson darted from across the room. She had enough. Her eyes were fiery. She was relentless. Elwood did not stand a chance. Covering his eyes with his feelers, he knew it was the end of Elwood J. McFly. Miss Peterson slammed down her swatter with a whop. Oh no, what happened to Elwood? Is he still alive? Miss Peterson thwacked the screen so hard she managed to push that little fly the rest of the way out. Elwood was freed and began his unbelievable journey home. Horsefly Joe recognized Elwood in the direction from where he had come. Hey, buddy, why were you sneaking around where guys like us rarely survive? For Miss Peterson's cake. It's the chocolate's fault, Elwood laughed. Miss Peterson, I hear her name and already begin to shiver. Shrugging his shoulders, Joe continued, One of these days, you won't be such a lucky bug. You gotta look before you leap. The friends slapped feelers and parted ways. The sky was black now as Elwood flew the rest of the way home. Tiptoeing, he entered his bedroom through the window, careful not to cause attention. He heard footsteps on the other side of the door. Heart thumping, Elwood rushed to his desk and sat down. He grabbed a pencil and began working on an entomology homework assignment just as his bedroom door opened. Elwood J. McFly, come here and tell me what you got into today, she said. Mrs. McFly detected something far sweeter than mud. Confused, she took a lick off of Elwood's wing. That's chocolate, Elwood. Please tell me you didn't go to Blackthorn Drive and end up in Miss Peterson's kitchen. How many times do I have to tell you to never go there? Promise me you'll be smarter next time you leave this house. Young McFly couldn't promise her he would never go back to Miss Peterson's house, but at least not for a while. Okay, Mom, I won't. Luckily, she didn't see the feelers cross behind his back. Mom savored one more taste of chocolate from Elwood's wings. That woman may be crazy, but she sure can cook, Mrs. McFly muttered. Elwood marched straight to the bathtub. He splashed and soaked. Remembering his extraordinary day, he wondered what tomorrow would bring. Then he gorged on bruised apples and moldy chicken, climbed into bed, and fell fast asleep.